I know this looks bad, but I swear we're going to take care of it. If you need some decluttering and cleaning motivation today, I'm so glad that this video found you. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but I have been decluttering my house for the last year and I've been documenting the whole process here on my channel. So we've got a huge mess to clean up today, courtesy of my 2-year-old, some things to declutter, and I'm also cleaning a mess I have literally never cleaned in the entire 3 years of living in this home. I'll also be talking about some tips for decluttering your home and some of the ways that this process has improved my life for the better, so let's just get into it. First things first, I was just turning on my heater because it was freezing down there. It was a super cold day, and then I'm going to start trying my best to categorize everything and put everything into piles so that I can further organize and declutter. So how do you know that you have a clutter problem? I would say if you're noticing that you have to shuffle around things or move things in order to get to something you need or to accomplish a task, that is probably a pretty good indicator that you have too much stuff. And did you know that having an overabundance of clutter can actually increase your cortisol levels? If you're feeling like the things that you have are impacting your mental health or your everyday life, it may be time to reassess not only what you already have, but also what you decide to bring in moving forward. And while decluttering can seem incredibly daunting when you first start, it does not have to be. You can go slow like I have, and you can go through one drawer at a time or one closet at a time or even one room at a time. And it may even take you multiple visits to the same spot to declutter. I can speak firsthand to that. I have decluttered this room and all of the toys we have in our home as a whole so many times, and yet here we are. It's not that I didn't get rid of enough the first time or that I acquired more clutter and now I have to declutter again. For me, it's that it can take time to really come to terms with what we are or aren't using in our home. I like to do my declutter, live with that for some time, and then revisit the space and reassess, and continue to do that until I'm satisfied with what we have. That's just the way I like to do it, the way that has worked the best for me, but obviously you should approach decluttering in whatever way you think will work best for you. Since we're dealing with toy clutter this first half of the video, I wanted to talk about the impossible standard of being clutter-free with kids. Kids are constantly getting things. It could be a toy in their Happy Meal or a little something from the dollar store to buy yourself like 10 minutes of peace. Or it could even be an extravagant gift from family who wants to spoil them. Every holiday has also kind of become a gift-giving holiday these days. Kids are getting boo baskets for Halloween, overflowing Easter baskets, first and last day of school gifts, not to mention their birthdays and Christmas and Hanukkah and everything else. If you have kids, chances are you're noticing that for every 2 items you get rid of, they have a tendency to bring in like 3 more. It's hard and it feels like a revolving door of stuff. To think you can live a clutter-free life with kids is setting yourself up for disappointment. Expect that you will still have clutter in your home and that it's just a season and a very, very precious one. I'm okay with certain types of clutter when it comes to my children, but I also do my best to stay on top of it as much as possible. Rotating things out, tossing out the things that are broken or they'll never notice are gone, like those Happy Meal toys. But I wanted to make sure I gave this reminder that it's very normal to have clutter with kids and you're not failing in your minimalism or decluttering journey because of it. Something that really irks me as a mom is when I'm cleaning up toys and I can't find pieces to something. I'm that mom that wants to clean up the toys and make sure that everything is together. And if there's like a little play set, I have it all set up the way that it's meant to be. And puzzles. I especially cannot stand when I can't find puzzle pieces. So I'm very happy to report that underneath this couch, I found all of the missing puzzle pieces that I had been looking for, and I was so happy to reunite them with the rest of our puzzles. My kids very rarely bring snacks down into our playroom, but for whatever reason, this rug was absolutely filthy. So I really gave it a good vacuum. I know it's hard to tell because this clip is sped up, but I was going very slow and trying to make sure that I got every single last crumb or whatever else was in this rug, and it was making like the most satisfying vacuum lines. I wanted to remind you here that just because you have the space doesn't mean that you need to fill it. So, for example, when I bought this IKEA storage unit for all the toys, I envisioned having all these bins like perfectly fitting into these little storage units and having something in every single bin and labeling all the bins, but I never ended up doing that. And honestly, we have like a bunch of empty bins. You'll see in a minute when I start going through all of them, but a lot of them are empty or they have very little stuff actually in them. And I used to feel like I needed to fill that space if there was empty space, and I no longer feel like that. So this is your reminder that just because you have the space available to you, you don't necessarily need to fill it with stuff. When we finished this portion of the basement for a playroom, our contractor asked us if we wanted to add a heat source, and we talked about our options, but ultimately decided against it, pretty much solely based on the extra cost at the time. So when Dreo reached out to me to work together, I knew this was a perfect fit because we really did need a heat source in our play area. It gets very cold down here during New England winters, so I'm excited to share with you all our Dreo wall-mounted space heater. This is perfect for not only a small living area like our playroom, but also for a bathroom, a bedroom, your garage. It comes with detailed instructions to install and a guide with an included level to make sure it's level on your wall. It was very easy and straightforward, but if you need a visual, you can also scan the QR code on the directions to watch a video walkthrough of the entire installation process. This heater is energy efficient and quiet with its upgraded DC motor, and it heats up your space incredibly fast. I'm a little apprehensive with space heaters, but I love that this one has multiple layers of protection, including a child lock, overheating protection, and a 5 VA flammability rating. I also like that it is a nice sleek design and it's not an eyesore on our wall, and it comes at an affordable price. It's also compatible with Alexa and Google Home. So there's actually an app you can control the heater from, so you can see the temperature, you can check your usage, you can change what mode it's on, you can put it on fan only if you want, you can have it on heat, and then the 3 different heat settings. You can also click on and off the panel sound so it won't make any noise, and you can turn on a child lock, so that's good because this is a playroom. You can change it to Celsius if that's what you prefer, put it on eco mode as well, and you can even set schedules for when you would like the heater to turn on and off. You also have the option to set a timer as well. So yeah, this heater is fully customizable in the app, and I have personally never seen a heater that does stuff like this, so I think this is super cool. We've really been enjoying spending some time down here, as you could tell by the mess since we installed this Dreo heater. My oldest son even tested the child lock feature by trying to press buttons, and I'm happy to report it does indeed work, and he was not able to do anything to it. Overall, this heater is very user-friendly, and I'm excited to finally have some heat down here so we can make better use of this space this coming winter. If you've got a small space that is lacking heat, or maybe you're trying to think of holiday gifts and you know someone who could use something like this, I would highly recommend that you check out this Dreo heater. I will have the link to this one in my description box down below for you to check out. Another thing that is really hard to see on camera, kind of similar to the rug, was how many cobwebs and dead bugs there were in the corners of this room. So I cleaned all those up, and then I also wanted to clean off the landing at the bottom of the stairs. And then I grabbed a couple more things I wanted to declutter. So first of all, this little table and chairs. I've had them for many years now. The chairs were both broken. The table's like all cracked on the top. The paint is all chipping off. I tried to repaint it at one point, but my kids never use it, so I don't understand why we've held on to it all this time. So I actually stuck it out on the street in front of my house, and someone came and took it, and hopefully they can refinish it and give it a second life, but it just wasn't worth it for me and my family. So I did go ahead and declutter that, and I don't regret it at all. But now we're just washing the floor. I'm using my Swiffer for this, and I'm going to show you guys after I'm all done, but I was shocked at how clean the Swiffer mop pad was after I finished cleaning the floors. This is the first time I've ever cleaned these floors in this room. Like, I've vacuumed them a bunch of times, but I have never actually mopped the floors. So I was expecting this Swiffer mop pad to be filthy, and it really was not that bad. And for the sake of making sure that I don't leave any stones unturned, I started going through all of these bins to get rid of anything that we no longer wanted. Actually, all of those transformers that I just grabbed were broken and missing pieces, and I was so over it. So I threw all those out. We have 2 or 3 empty bins on this side, and then we have multiple empty bins on the other side. We're also missing bins altogether, which means there's even more empty space. So I'm really happy with that. And this is everything that I decluttered that was trash from this playroom. And as you can see, that's a really small trash bag compared to my usual. And that's how you know I've made a ton of progress over time, because I don't have as much to get rid of every single time I do one of these decluttering projects. And again, for good measure, I just made sure there was nothing else in the closet that I wanted to get rid of. This is kind of like our back storage of things that we use for toy rotation that we pretty rarely go into unless my toddler somehow gets a hold of it, but there really wasn't much in there to get rid of. And this is how the room was looking after. This honestly might be the cleanest our playroom has ever looked. I've been decluttering this room for, I feel like, years now, and I feel like we're finally in a good spot.
You felt your limitations and filled your mind with doubt. You wanna stay chill.
And now moving on to something that I am honestly embarrassed to admit. I have never cleaned these stairs in the entire time that we've lived in this home. We moved in here like 3 years ago, and they were filthy. My cats run up and down these stairs all the time. Their litter boxes are in the basement, so they get litter on their paws and they run up the stairs. And yeah, I'm definitely ashamed by this, but it's just one of those spaces for me that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I try not to spend much time in my basement other than when I'm doing laundry or when we go into our little playroom. So this was really, really needing to be done, and I've thought about it actually quite a lot and how much I should be cleaning these stairs, but I just never got around to it. It sounded like just the worst thing. But honestly, once I actually did it, it really was not that bad. And I don't know why I procrastinated on this for like 3 solid years. So to clean these stairs, the first thing I did was just go through and vacuum them, because if I left all like the cat fur and everything else when I went back to like actually wash the steps, it was just going to be like moving dust around and not actually picking it up. So did a dry vacuum first and got rid of everything that I had stuck at the landing to declutter. It doesn't look like I'm doing much here, but there were a ton of cobwebs overhead, so I did vacuum those as well. And now moving on to the actual cleaning process. So I grabbed a bowl, I filled it up with some floor cleaner and some hot water, and I grabbed a microfiber cloth, and I just went step by step and scrubbed each one down the best that I could. Is this going to make my steps look perfectly white and clean? No, but it does make a huge difference. Just wait until you see the before and after. I was really hoping that I was going to be able to use a magic eraser on them after I finished doing this, but unfortunately I'm completely out of them, and I didn't realize it until I went to grab one so that I could finish up this cleaning project. But anyway, this is your sign. If you have a huge task that you really need to get done and you have been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, I promise you it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, and you're going to be really happy that you did it after. So just get up, do it, get it done. You'll be so glad that you did. If you're noticing the lighting change here, that is because I was having some technical difficulties. I left my extra batteries for my camera at my parents' house the day before I filmed this video. So my camera battery died and I could only charge it by having it plugged in, and I couldn't use it, so I had to use a different camera. And this one is not as good of quality, but I didn't want to stop what I was doing. I wanted to just get this done because it had been long enough. Look at this nasty water. I cannot believe it. I'm just so glad that I went ahead and did this. And here's just your reminder of what these stairs looked like before. They were honestly so embarrassing, and I'm glad nobody ever goes in our basement. And here's how they look after. They're not perfect, but they're so much better. You guys already know what time it is. It's time to go through my paper clutter. I've kind of accepted that I am a once a week person when it comes to paper clutter. I go through my mail. I've been really good about that. I go through my mail as soon as it comes in. I separate out the junk. I keep the important stuff. I do what I need to do with that. But when it comes to specifically my children's papers that they bring home from school, that is where I struggle. They bring home so many papers. And again, this kind of goes back to that whole topic of living a clutter-free life when you have kids. It is literally impossible. And we're very busy. We have activities in the evening. YouTube is my full-time job. My husband has a full-time job. We have family to keep up with and friends to keep up with. We've had trips. We just have a lot going on in our lives right now. So the paper clutter, it's just always going to be there for one reason or another. And in this season of life, kids' paper clutter is my worst enemy. So anyway, once a week, I try to go through all of my kids' paper clutter and I'll sort everything. I'll put everything into piles, what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of. And then I'll show you, I have done a whole video on this, but I have milestone boxes for each one of my kids and I've got little folders with each grade on them, and I will just file the things I want to keep in whatever grade they did that paper in. And I keep those milestone boxes handy in a convenient location so I can just go ahead and grab them and file away whatever I need to whenever I need to do it, and it's not a super difficult task for me to do. I had another random pile of stuff sitting on my dining room table that I wanted to go through, so we're going to do that, and then after that I just had a little bit of cleaning I wanted to do. Not only do I want to give tips on how to declutter and just the mindset that is decluttering, I also want to talk about some of the positive impacts that decluttering can have on your life. For us personally, I spoke about this in a recent video, but we are potentially moving, and I'm honestly really looking forward to how much easier the moving process will be after all the work I've done in the last year. The last time we moved, we brought so much baggage to this house and unnecessary junk. It took me a long time to sort through it all. I'm excited for a fresh start in our new home. Will we be fully clutter-free with kids? No, but we live a much less stressful life. It's much easier to maintain a clean home, and we know what we have and where everything is, and for that, I am proud of us. I used to spend so much time just kind of shuffling mess around and trying to find places to put things, and I felt like everything else that I needed to do really got put on the back burner. I do have the occasional wild mess, which I had today when I was filming this video and I was cleaning the playroom, but for the most part, the main living areas of our home don't usually get too bad anymore because we don't have so much unnecessary junk just laying around all the time. So what you're seeing here is kind of like my daily tidy up routine at this point, which is just making sure I get the dishes done, I clean up the stovetop after we finish cooking, and wipe down the surfaces, maybe do a little bit of vacuuming. I always have laundry to do, but it's just not nearly as difficult to clean our home ever since going through this whole journey. So if you needed a sign to start the journey and you're feeling like your house is always a mess, this is your sign to do it and spend less time cleaning your home and more time just kind of living your life. Unfortunately, my camera was just really not working for me on this day because of the battery issue and trying to use the other camera and everything else. So today's video is a little bit shorter than usual, but I really hope that you enjoyed it and it gave you some motivation. Don't forget to check out the Dreo space heater. I will have that link in my description box down below. Thank you so much to Dreo for sponsoring today's video. And again, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you'll come back again next week for another video.